After watching this video, you are gonna have insane custom enchantments with amazing effects, just like this one, that even appear on the enchantment table just like that. And then you can actually apply them to animals, and you can, for example, make the cow be hidden for a couple of seconds, or you can do whatever you want with them. What you are about to see is a full lesson from my coaching program called NMS Advanced, which is going to show you how to understand NMS, packets, animations, particles, animated scenes, and all of that very advanced custom stuff. If you want to learn more about the program, I'm gonna leave a link to it in the video description. Otherwise, I hope you are gonna have a good time implementing this stuff because it's pretty damn cool. Enjoy. Hello everybody, and welcome to another lesson in the NMS Advanced training program. Today we are going to be adding custom enchantments, and here's what we're going to be covering. So I'll just start off for complete beginners, and I'll explain how to apply custom enchantments to an item using Bukkit API, and then I'll walk you through behind the scenes of how custom enchantments are really registered on the server and on the client, because nowadays the client and the server, they share a lot of code, and I'm going to discuss some client-side limitations. Then we're going to be adding two custom enchantments in Minecraft, one for a bow, another one for a sword, but you can really rework them to work anywhere. And then, since so far we've been using Foundation, and I've been getting some comments on how to do that without Foundation. If you want to do it just on vanilla Bukkit, Spigot, and Paper, I'm also going to show you how to do that. And then, as a bonus, there will be another lesson, and in that very lesson, I'm gonna be giving you a quick example on how to implement enchantments for an older Minecraft release, or maybe for a future Minecraft release, by actually having a new plugin which will be working as a library, and then using that library to connect to your main plugin, and only in that library importing one specific NMS version. It's not going to be in today's video, otherwise it would be too long, but just know that there will be an update to this. I think I'm just gonna include that and send it via an email broadcast to our people, or I'm gonna tag you on Discord in the NMS Advanced channel. Once that video is out, it should be out by the time you're watching this one pretty much, and you will find it in the updating week. I think it's called week 3 or week 4 in this very program. So stick to the very end, and you're gonna have a very beautiful setup with custom enchantments, including how they work on a enchantment table. Now, there is no more PowerPoint. That's right. Let's go and let's actually do it. So I'm just gonna exit out of these mysterious windows appearing. First of all, there's been major changes to Foundation, especially for 1.20 and newer Minecraft releases. So I do urge you guys to go to your POM file and then check whether you have the Foundation on the latest one, and if you follow our plugin template setup, you should have a dependency with custom path variables like this one, and then up here somewhere under properties, so Foundation version should be the latest one from this very website. If I go to my GitHub, it should be 672 or whatever is the latest release that you see there, and then Foundation path should be com.github.kangaroo. The only reason that mine looks a little bit different is that I already have Foundation on my disk. And if you don't want to use my library to help you and make better plugins faster, stay to the end and I'll explain on how to get it done, how to get it working without Foundation as well. In this video, I'm also going to be using effects lib. If you don't have that, please watch the video about libraries and custom effects where we get it done. Or what you can do, you can just get the source code from this video and just implement the effects lib into your plugin. It should be very easy. It's just a few lines of code to get it up and working. So no worries about that. All right, so as I promised, for complete beginners, if you do wanna get an enchantments for any vanilla item, in Bukkit, basically, by this point, you should know how to make a custom item because I already covered that. So basically, you just call in item stack and then new item stack, and you give it a nice material, right? Now, if you want to add a custom enchantment, you can either call add enchantment, but I do recommend you go with the unsafe one because you will bypass all of these basic limitations, like some enchantments, they can't be applied for different items, right? Like sword enchantments can't be applied to grass block, but if you want to do that, go with the unsafe one. And then here you just pick whatever enchantment you want using existing game enchantments, for example thorns, and then the level would be 5 or maybe even level 50. Just know that the client is responsible for showing these labels, and if you put in level, I don't know, 500 or 50, it doesn't know how to really display it in Roman numerals, so it's going to be shown a little bit weirdly. So I don't recommend you go above 10 for that very reason, because the clients are not good at showing that. Now, question is, how do you add a glowing item, and how to actually hide, how to just make the glowing item without adding any enchantments? So if you want to do that, here I'm going to give you a quick tip. You need to go to the item meta, and then you need to basically get a copy of the item meta and make sure that you set the item meta at the very end. This is if you do not want to use foundation, right? And then you just add the enchantment in the meta, add enchant, just like this, add enchant, and then you add, what was that? Add item flag, and there's an item flag that says hide enchantments or hide enchants. And if you do that, what is this? May produce a null pointer exception. I don't think so, IntelliJ. Sometimes you're just way too smart. But I do think, yeah, we need to put in one more thing, ignore level restrictions. And if for whatever reason this doesn't work because you have outdated API, then you're just going to stick with add unsafe enchantment right here. I think that one works down to 1.8, and then this one is been added somewhere in the development of Bukkit. So if you do that, the item is going to glow, but it's not going to show anything on the screen. And if you just want to use foundation, it's actually way easier. So all you're going to do is use item creator and then off, and we're having a diamond, so comp material diamond, and then you just type in glow right here, and then you convert it and you make it to an item. So all of this code, all of this garbage, you can just get rid of by using foundation, and you have it on one line, or you can even give it to a player directly if you have a player object. Now, moving on to how do actually enchants work internally in Minecraft and why that is important. Because for the longest time, if you went into the enchantment class, it looked something like this one, right? You have a bunch of enchantments listed, and then there is a register in Bukkit. And then what we need to do is hack in this thing, accepting new. So we needed to use reflection to change that to false, and then simply register it manually using more reflection, or actually there is a method called register enchantment like this one. However, with the advent of Minecraft 1.20, if I change the API like this one, you'll notice that there is no longer the register method, and there is no longer the registry right here, because nowadays we're actually using the Minecraft registry. Now, Minecraft has a lot of registries for, they really planned to make it simple for mod creators, although that is still quite difficult, but it's easier nowadays than it used to be. And long story short, they have registry for custom items, custom enchantments. If you open up this Bukkit's variant that tries to imitate the internal registry, you'll notice how many registries we have for art, attributes, biomes, even boss bars, and all things like that. Very interesting indeed. However, the problem is that it's not possible to add things into this registry. And what's going to happen if you have an item stack, for example, this one, and you're checking for enchantments like this method, containsEnchantment, now actually goes into this method. And if I open up this method, you'll see that it goes directly in the NMS deep down inside Minecraft, and it then get the item enchantment level from the, as you guessed it, Minecraft's registry. So that's why, unfortunately, adding custom enchantments has been a pain in the ass since 1.20, because we have to really hack in this weird resource location. We need to hack in the NMS registry now to add it. However, I decided to spare you out of most of that crap. And in Foundation, we've really added the basis, the foundation for adding custom enchantments, so that we only have to add a custom implementation of the injection into a specific NMS version. And then all we're going to do is add enchantment as we did previously. If you are first time to this and you haven't watched the older video in the NMS Advanced class, don't worry, it's gonna make sense because I'll explain everything step by step. However, if this is an update video for you, it's also gonna make a lot of sense because chances are you already have some code, so you can just update what you have. Anyways, we're going to be starting off, I guess, at the very end, and I'm going to be implementing the enchantment that I want right away. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna add a new package right here and call it enchant. And let me just implement, for example, the Black Nova enchant. So Black Nova enchant. And previously, what you could be doing, you could just extend the enchantment class in Bukkit. This will break multi-version compatibility. So in Foundation, we've actually added a wrapper that is called a simple enchantment. And you can extend that very easily, just like that. And you can then implement the constructor. You can implement the name in the super. So this one is called Black Nova. The maximum level I want is 10. You can get rid of all of that. And this one can actually be a singleton, just like this one. That used to be it. That used to really be everything you needed to do. Foundation would take care of everything. We even implemented a bunch of methods such as on damage. And then here you could just simply print out that, you know, I've damaged the damager with Black Nova level, and then level, and then you can just do your own stuff in the entity damage event. This method would be and is still only called when you are hitting somebody with an item containing this enchantment, right? And then, for example, we could have a command, and I'm gonna give you a simple example because we already covered how to create commands, and I do cover this very early on in the course. So if you don't have that, just go and rewatch that lesson. And we could have a command like this one. And if I type in /enchants, I can give myself a new item stack, and then I can simply add enchantment using Black Nova get instance and not even to Bukkit. So this was the old setup. It was very, very simple. However, nowadays I said we have to hack in to the registry. And then if you want to use it using Bukkit API, we've added a new method to Bukkit if you have a custom simple enchantment instance. So that is the biggest code change for you, right? And this code can still stay the same if you implement custom events right here, event handler, and you want to listen to custom on entity damage event, for example, like this one, that will only work for players. And then I'm going to get myself what I'm holding in my hand. I'm going to get the victim entity. Now you have to actually go to the enchant. So go to this enchant, or maybe you can just call this, and then you need to check if it has enchant using our own custom method to make sure that it's 100% reliable. Before, you could actually use the hand item containsEnchantment method. You can still use it and it's gonna work for some Minecraft versions, the latest one, but especially with the older ones, it will become less and less reliable due to the extensive changes in the API. So that works, right? That works. And if you're seeing the code for the first time, just to give you context, so if you want to implement some custom behavior or some custom actions, if you hold this enchantment, well, we already provide you with a bunch of events that automatically fire. For example, on damage, you can just open up the simple enchantment class and you can have a look at all these events. So on damage, on interact, on break block, on shoot, on hit, which is great if you deal with arrows that are shot from a bow that already has these custom enchantments. Or if that is not enough and you want to do your own custom event handler, then you can just post it right here. We already register it because the simple enchantment already implements a listener, so you don't have to do anything if you decide to use Foundation. And then you need to check it using this method if the custom item in that event has this enchant, and then you can do your own stuff this way. For example, Black Nova simply plays a custom sound, a custom particle, and then sets the victim on fire for 3 seconds, which is something you've seen at the beginning of this video. However, now we need to actually add a handler directly connected to NMS to make sure that these custom enchants are registered, because Foundation doesn't deal with NMS, right? It's just a very, very simple library. But since you are in this advanced course, I'm going to be writing this part of it manually for you to show you how to do that. So we already deal with NMS a lot. Obviously, this course is called NMS Advanced, right? And we have a bunch of classes in this specific package. So likewise, I'm going to be adding a new package, specific enchant, and I'm going to be adding a new custom enchant 4. This is video for the latest update that is right now 1.20. So custom enchant _120, just like this one. And now, my friends, what you need to do, Foundation actually provides an NMS enchant interface that you need to implement, because we need to, first of all, register it in the NMS, and then we need a way to convert that into org.bukkit.enchantment. And maybe it's better if I have this explicitly, just like that. So to do that, this class actually needs to extend the enchantment, and check this out, not in Bukkit, but in the actual Minecraft package. Guys, just for context, we're using 1.20 Mojang remapped. If you want to use that, check out the update week. I think I covered how to use Mojang mappings in 1.18 update video. So this is the same process for 1.20, 1.30, hopefully, if they're not going to change. So I need to import the enchantment in the net package, just like this. And then it turns out there is a custom constructor, right? So custom constructor has a rarity, enchant category, and an equipment slot. Now, the way we're going to deal with this is a little bit hacky. So I'm not going to implement everything in Black Nova twice, because when you'll notice that this simple enchantment already has these things, like it has a rarity, right? If you want to change the rarity of your custom Black Nova enchantment, all you're going to do is implement the custom get rarity method and simply override this. For example, if you want this to appear rarely or uncommonly on the enchantment table, you can do that. If you want to hide it from the enchantment table, you can just return false in the is discoverable method. And you'll see how many methods you can override right here. So get max cost, get min cost, get start level, and then get the maximum level, which is already done for you here. Okay, so that is what we need to do. However, here, we also need to specify that. So the way we're going to hack it, we're going to hold the simple enchantment as a field. And then here, we're going to basically just parse it, oops, inside that constructor, just like that. And then the simple enchantment already has rarity. The problem is it doesn't have rarity as an NMS class. It has rarity as a Foundation compatible class. So all we're gonna do is open up the rarity from the NMS package and then simply convert it value of get the rarity and get its name, because these names are exactly the same. Next up that it needs is the enchantment category from NMS. So we need to open it and then value of, and this is going to be simple enchantment, get the target and get the name. And finally, slot types. Guys, I'm not going to go crazy with this. I think that there is no difference where you can apply it. If you do want to customize that, you can, but I'm just going to go with equipment slot, and I'm going to have this enchant work on all equipment slots. You can obviously customize that if you don't want this. And then at the end, you need to actually assign this simple enchantment equals simple enchantment, like this one. And now check it out. When it comes to registration of it, we need to actually open up the registry. And this is not going to be in Bukkit. It's going to be in Minecraft Core. And we need to go into the register method, which takes in which registry type we want. And as I mentioned, there are multiple registries, the way you reach for them in Minecraft. So you have to open up another class, which is called built-in registries. And I know, guys, Mojang makes it so hard for especially beginners. So that's why we use Foundation. That's why we like simplify everything. But this is like, we need to implement this because I do not want to deal with NMS in Foundation, because Foundation is just meant as a groundwork. And then the actual NMS we have to implement here, because otherwise Foundation would be specifically bound to a specific NMS version, which would be very, very problematic and just cause a lot of headaches, and it'll just make the process extremely complicated for me as a plugin developer, and for everybody else, especially shipping Foundation will be more complicated. So that's why we have to do that heavy lifting here. So open up built-in registries and then pick the registry type enchantment, just like that. And then the actual ID, so the ID will be the custom keyed value. So there is such a thing called namespace key in Minecraft, and this one basically means two things. It means where what name is it and who it belongs to. So for example, let's say you have an entity cow, right? Previously, in the good old days, it was just a cow with a capital C. And then I think since Minecraft 1.16, they've changed it that every single entity or tile entity or every single registratable block needs to have a namespace key to it. So that nowadays you need to specify who that cow belongs to. So it belongs to Minecraft, surprise. And then there is a colon, and then there is an entity name, right? For example, you have Ender Dragon. So nowadays you have to specify with all small letters and underscores, and you have to specify that it belongs to Minecraft. The reason for this, as I said, they wanted to make it easier for mods. If you have your own custom mod, for example, this plugin is called NMS plugin Ender Dragon. We're not going to go with this. We actually want to hack into the vanilla registry. So the ID should be Minecraft and then colon, and then it should be simple enchantment get name. However, we already pre-created this for you. If you call get namespace name, you can get rid of all of that. And then foundation is going to basically turn whatever you typed in here. So Black Nova is going to be Minecraft Black Nova. And you can verify this if you open up the vanilla enchant and you type in, you can give yourself that enchantment using the vanilla enchant command, and it's going to work flawlessly. Okay, so that's all we need to do. And then the actual entry, that one takes in the instance of the actual enchantment, which for our case is just this. That is how you register it nowadays. Now, when it comes to converting that into Bukkit, what you can do, you can just call the enchantment class in Bukkit like this, and then you can actually call get by name. And don't worry about the depreciation. If you do that, it's going to work on more Minecraft releases. In case they delete it in the future, you need to open up Bukkit's registry and then enchantments and then get, and then put in namespace key. This is very much the same as what I'm doing right here. And then here you need to be typing in the new namespace key. And then the namespace is actual Minecraft, right? As I explained previously. And then this one is going to be get this simple enchantment get namespace key like this one. Okay. And by the way, the question is why there isn't Minecraft before, or should it be? So it's actually a bit weird. If you're using this register, it appends Minecraft automatically inside. If you return get namespace name this one, it's actually only going to return Black Nova, for example. It's not going to append the namespace before that. Okay, just to keep that in mind. And you can actually just system that out, that print line, if you want to see what it does return at the very end. You'll see that it's right here. And we actually need to store a copy of the name with the prefix for performance purposes when we're checking for items whether they contain it. Okay, so to convert that, all we're gonna do is open a Bukkit and then look for this by the actual key. So we're not really converting that. We're just calling Bukkit. We're just gonna do the conversion in and of itself, because the actual registration is done on the NMS level, not on the Bukkit level. So that's how you do it this way. And then that should be pretty much it. However, I do want to make sure that a bunch of methods in the simple enchantment, such as, for example, get target, get rarity, active slots, conflicts with, they work. So we need to actually do a little bridge. I can get rid of this one, and we can do a little bridge from NMS to simple. And so what I've done behind the scenes, I've just overridden the get min level, and I'm going to return whatever is stated in the simple enchantment class. I'm going to do that for the get max level as well, and get min cost and get max cost as well. And you can just continue, and you can do that for all of these other methods. So that one should be pretty simple. Is discoverable, tradable, curse. These are almost the same. Is treasure only. So I'm going to go with the vanilla behavior. So if we are a treasure, or if this is cursed, then it's going to return true. However, when it comes to can enchant, so this one looks and works a little bit different. We need to get to the actual Bukkit's method, can enchant item, and this one takes in actual Bukkit item stack, not NMS item stack. That's why we need to convert this NMS net Minecraft world item stack into Bukkit item stack. Thankfully, Jesus Christ, thankfully, Bukkit already provides a class for that. It's called craft item stack as Bukkit copy. Okay, you can just call that. Or if the super NMS method says that it can be enchanted, then we simply return true. The reason for this, if you open the super NMS method, we're already checking if the category can enchant the method. If you do not want that, you can just get rid of it. If you also do not want this behavior, feel free to get rid of that. Last but not least, the vanilla or Bukkit enchantments can conflict with some other enchantments, and you can actually override this if you go to simple enchantment and then conflicts, I think it's called conflicts with, right here, right? And you can just return true or false based on your own custom conditions. Now, in NMS, it's a little bit more complicated because we have to convert the other enchantment into Bukkit enchantment. The way we do that, we have to go inside the inbuilt registries, get the enchantment by key, get the key of the other enchantment, which is going to return a resource location. And then if that is false, if that is null, we're just going to not care. Then we need to convert this resource location into a namespaced key because, as you noticed above, right here, we can then use Bukkit to get the Bukkit's version of that NMS enchantment using Bukkit's namespace key system instead of using NMS key system. Again, super duplicated, but that's just the way it is. So the way we do that, we go to craft namespace key from Minecraft, get the location there, and this one we can then use for a Bukkit's registry, open up the enchantment, and finally get the Bukkit's version of that enchantment. In case something goes wrong, it doesn't exist, we're just going to return false, and then we are just going to basically check if it does not conflict with, so we have to reverse the logic because Bukkit has a reverse logic because fuck you, and that's pretty much it. That's how you check for compatibility in NMS. Okay guys, that was it for this class. Now, finally, we need to go and we need to register it. If you do not want to do this with Foundation, I'll show you this at the very end. Just know that it's about 5 times as much work. So all we're going to do now is open up the NMS plugin, open up the onload, on plugin load or onload method if you're using non-Foundation build. And then right here, we need to go inside simple enchantment, and then we need to register the enchantment handle. All we're gonna do, type in custom enchantment class, that's it. And then Foundation is automatically going to unfreeze the register. It's gonna call the register method when it needs to, and it's going to freeze the register at the very end. And I'll show you how to do that manually at the very end. So what I'm gonna do, I don't think we can run the server right here, unfortunately, because Foundation does some packet hacking, because the problem is, as I promised, I'm also going to discuss client-side limitation. You know, custom enchantments are really only visible on the server, and the client doesn't have a clue about them because it doesn't know their names. It's a bit stupid. It doesn't receive the name from the server, so that if you don't hack in the packet and you don't add the lore manually, it's going to show as empty item. You're going to get the item, but it's not going to be visible. The enchantment will be hidden, unfortunately. That's just the limitation. So Foundation does all that heavy work for you, right? For that reason, you need to have protocol lib. Now, protocol lib is not supported on the remapped Mojang mappings spigot or paper version. So for that reason, if you do want to test it really quickly, we need to actually compile it using Maven and then boot it up on the NMS regular spigot mappings server. Let me just do that. And I completely forgot to make this class final. Otherwise, Foundation is going to complain about coding standards, so I have to make it final and recompile. Okay guys, now back in the game, I can test it using various approaches. Number one, we already have a custom command enchants that will give me the sword using the Black Nova enchantment. And again, this is the command. You can either implement it yourself. It's very simple. All you're gonna do, get yourself an item stack and add a custom enchantment to it, just like that. The other one is bow. We don't yet have the other custom enchant, so that's why I don't have it. You can also test it. Let me get myself another sword. Using Minecraft's command enchant, I'm going to give myself Minecraft dot or colon black underscore Nova, and now it'll work. Notice that it's not found in the tab completion because I believe the tab completion is done on the client side. So you can't really get that. You have to type it in manually. But if you implement your own custom enchant command, you can obviously handle tab completion the way I teach it earlier in this course pretty much normally, or you can just use it the way commands are implemented in Bukkit. So you need to implement custom enchantment command if you do want to have tab completion. That's the second way. Now, let me also check it. If we do summon a nice, I don't know, camel, there we go. You can see that it now works and the camel is being set on fire, and there's even custom sound and a custom particle, because why not? And then to get it actually on an enchantment table, we need to be a little bit lucky. So I just need to keep enchanting that. Maybe if you guys know, oh, there we go. Now you can see that there isn't a label because the server, or sorry, the client doesn't have that information, and it's not possible to receive that from the server. So that's just the limitation on the enchantment table. But if I click that, there you go. Now it says Black Nova, and I've been actually given where is that? Sometimes it does disappear, but most of the times it's just fine. Yeah, you can see we needed to actually intercept the packet to manually add it. Otherwise, you won't be able to see that. So now you can see we actually added Black Nova 10. If you do want to, make it a little bit harder to obtain, you're gonna be looking at the get cost. So increase the get min cost for the different levels and get max cost, and then you're gonna be getting more appropriate numbers. But that is pretty much it on how to implement custom enchantments. When it comes to custom behavior, you can either just override the on damage methods, and I think that demo is being fired. Yeah, there we go, right here in the console. So you can either override this. If this is not enough, you can do whatever event you want, and you can just do whatever you want with these entities using this has enchant method. So don't forget about that. And that's pretty much it for this video. As a bonus, I'm going to be implementing the hide enchant using effect lib, and then I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to do that using native approach. And then I'm going to make another video on how to do that for an older Minecraft release. So once you have that system ready, adding new enchantment is a breeze because Foundation does a lot of heavy lifting for you. All you're going to do is duplicate this class. For example, I can just duplicate it, call it hide enchant or whatever you want, and then I can just implement it. You don't need to register it. Foundation does it for you. You can just duplicate these classes and it will be registered using the custom enchantment bridge. So you only need to make this bridge once because this bridge holds any simple enchantment. That is why it needs to have the custom constructor, because Foundation basically opens the constructor up using reflection, and it then boots it with all of your simple enchantment classes. So Black Nova, hide, anything else. And I've already implemented this enchant behind the scenes because I really don't think it's necessary to make this video 2 hours long. And it's basically very simple. So it's called hide, maximum level can be 5. And then I basically have on shoot method. It only gonna work for players holding this. If you also want, for example, skeletons be shooting these custom enchantments arrows from custom enchantments bows, you can delete that. It's going to spawn a custom sound, and then it's going to get the projectile. And then this is very interesting. So it's going to actually make the tornado effects using effects get effects manager. This is a simple class. It works like this one. It's a very simple class connecting to the effects lib that I covered in another video. If you don't have that, you can just copy it over from the source code. Extremely simple. You can even omit this class. You can just open up new effect manager using the effect lib class like this one using your plugins instance, and then it will basically set the iterations to -1, so it infinitely spins until we hit ground or we hit another entity with that arrow. And then we want to spawn critical particles as the tornado particle, and then we have the entity util track flying, which is really cool because it allows you to basically run code using Foundation and automatically run it at every tick until the flying entity hits the ground. So that's what we are doing it. And then once as long as it is flying, we're just going to update the location of the effect so that you'll see that tornado surrounding the arrow dynamically as the arrow moves, and we're just going to launch the particles again. So that is pretty much all you need to do. And yeah, and this will then be stopped automatically. I even given you a way how to spawn particles using NMS, using Bukkit. So that is why it's here. I think it's from an earlier update of the course. And I've even discussed another way to basically show these particles using the disco ball effect. So I'm just going to keep these examples there. I think they're cool. And then on a hit, you can even override this because we already done it in Foundation for you. Again, very simple if you decide to go with Foundation. And then when I hit something, when there is a hit entity like this one, right? Maybe it's good. Yeah. So you already have a check right here. If the hit entity, and maybe it's a better coding practice to have it like this. If we hit a living entity, we're just gonna add a potion effect of invisibility for a glorious 3 seconds based on the level. So if the level is 1, it's 3 seconds. If the level is 2, it's going to be 6 seconds. If the level is 10, it's going to be 30 seconds to the entity that is hit. Okay, that's pretty much it. Please ignore IntelliJ, replace with a null check. No, actually that one, yeah, now that I see it, I can't really cast it. So we have to cast it here for it to make sense, because the event, the get hit entity doesn't need to be necessarily a living entity. That's just how Bukkit works in this case. So that's pretty much it. And if you're wanting to do this manually without Foundation, stick to the end of this video and I'll show this too. Awesome guys, I'm back into the game. I'm gonna give myself a bow like this one. I only need one, and then I'll just enchant it using Minecraft, and then I think hide will do the job. There we go. And if I summon a cow, for example, hit it, and then it's disappearing for 3 seconds. There we go. It appeared again. And when I'm shooting the arrow, there's a beautiful tornado effect from the effects lib. Awesome. Now, before we go, those of you hardcore dudes that do not want to use my library, how would you implement that completely on bare bone paper? Great question. So first of all, what you need to do, you can just keep the Black Nova enchant classes, right? I do recommend you just use that. Very, very simple, okay? But what you need to do, you need to go to simple enchantment and you need to see what it does, and you need to implement a class like that. So that will work as a bridge between, we actually need 2 bridges. So that's gonna work as a bridge between the auto registration of all Black Nova or all custom enchantment classes, and the other bridge will work between Bukkit and NMS. So yeah, things will start to be a little bit complicated. So look at GitHub, look at Foundation GitHub, look at this class. You need to be implementing this. And then inside this little class, there needs to be a handle. And this handle is actually a very simple interface, only contains 2 methods. And then you need to, my friend, assign that handle. So you need to get the current NMS version, which will simply return, I don't know, 1.20 underscore R3 or something like that. So you need to implement a method for this. Then you need to get the handle class, which, where is that? The handle class is assigned register enchantment handle. Yeah, that one is registered in right here. So that call you can just keep. And then on that handle, we are just going to get the constructor using reflection that has 1 argument that is simple enchantment. So that is exactly what's going on right here. And then we just need to instantiate that constructor to assign the NMS enchant to this very bridge class. And then when it comes to registering the methods, or when it comes to finding the enchantment, you know what? I don't know why the sources are not here. Let me just fix that real quick. There we go. So you need to also implement a way to find this enchantment based on a given item. The way we do that, we just get the item meta, we get all the enchants, and there's a bunch of handling for all Minecraft versions. Again, just for you guys to make sure it works on all different Minecraft crazy versions. And then we need to iterate through all these enchantments. And then this is the Bukkit enchantment. And then we need to find it from Bukkit. The way we do that, where is the from Bukkit method is right here. So there are registered enchantments set. There is a set. It's called a strict set. So it does a couple of extra checks for you. You don't have to do that. You need to implement a set. And then every single time there is a new instance of that enchantment, we're basically going to register it. So I'm doing something that Bukkit did back in 1.19 manually, and then this set basically will be iterated through inside, where is that, on the front from Bukkit method, and then based on the key as string, so this one is the namespace key class or keyed class, you can compare based on the strings, and if the namespace with prefix equals to the key, we're just gonna return the enchantments. Or since some of you prefer older Minecraft versions, then we also need to do a check for names, so we just do the same for the enchantment name. Okay, and then when it comes to the actual listener, so this is just a basic listener inside this class that you can register using vanilla. And then I don't know why IntelliJ likes to do this on one line, but basically what you could do, you can just register for all these methods, and then you can have an execute method. They'll simply get the source item, or if this is, I think we're doing a bunch of more stuff when it comes to on shoot. You can just check the GitHub, guys. I don't want to explain myself for 3 hours because I think it makes more sense if you just check the source. And then we just check it basically using the same find enchantments method. And then for each of the custom enchantments, we just accept this in the function, and this will then call the delegate, which is on damage right here. And you can see how much work you need to do without foundation. That's why I don't recommend you go without it, but if you do want to do that, that's the way. So that's how you do the simple enchantment. Plus, you also need to go to your onPlugin load, and then you need to call something called unfreeze enchant registry. So you need to implement this yourself. Then we need to call a bunch of NMS stuff in the register. And then at the end, so now that you're using foundation, we don't need to do that. And then at the end of onPlugin start, at the very end, you need to actually freeze back the registry using another bunch of if statements and a bunch of crazy reflection. Okay, that's what you need to do. Now, if you do all of that, it's still not gonna work because the client doesn't have the custom label. So what you need to do then, and actually, let me just open up Foundation in my Eclipse. Then what you need to do, my friend, you need to have a packet listener that listens for the set slot packet, and then it will need to add the enchantment lore manually in case we are dealing with a non-air item, and then write the item back to the client. Okay, and the way we do that is implemented in the simple enchantment. You can just check it out, how the method works. So once you do all of that craziness, you're still not done because we haven't really registered these Black Nova enchants. So what you're gonna do in the onPlugin start, you're gonna call, before you freeze the registry, you're gonna call Black Nova enchant get instance and then hide enchant get instance. And you're gonna make sure to do that for every single custom enchantment class. So if you want to do that, go do that. But you know, we've spared you a lot of bullshit. That's why I developed Foundation for the last 8 years, I believe. That is the easiest approach how to do it without it. I guess the only downside nowadays, you need to use that custom weird NMS bridge. So this is for 1.20, and if you want to do it for 1.8, 1.16, 19, check the other video in the update week for multi-NMS project. Thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this training video, and I will see you in the next one.